All right, guys, what is going on? This is the Technology Guy back for my first real podcast, episode number 1. And what we're going to be talking about today is Tesla. So, Tesla came out with the Model 3 a couple years ago. Even then, when it first came out, it was a little bit too expensive for me to afford. The most recent one that's come out is around $35,000. I think it's a bit more now because the model trim is a standard plus, and so they've added some more of the luxury features back in. I think you still can get that $35,000 model. Is just off menu for the moment, meaning you'd have to call in as Tesla specifically for that $35,000 standard model. My guess is they're probably selling off inventory that they have, and then at some point they're going to just throw it out the window. Maybe they'll get back to it one day, maybe not. Who knows? But I had the good fortune to stumble into an opportunity that's allowed me to purchase and be driving a Tesla Model 3 long-range all-wheel drive since late October of last year. So what is it, May? I've had it about, 6 months, something like that. And I got to tell you guys, it's the first car I've owned that I still look forward to driving. Every day, I actually am excited to get in the car, even though I work 5 minutes away. And I almost wish that I had my old commute, which was almost an hour each way. Not really, but this thing is just a pleasure to drive. It's super fast. It handles better than a sports car, and I've driven a few. And the technology in it, most importantly, is just out of this world. So just wanted to kind of walk you through the current options, what's available, just so you guys get an idea. If I had done this a couple months ago, I think there was something like 6 or 7 different options, and they've kind of whittled it back down to just a few. So I'm going to pop open my browser here, and this is basically their site. We'll focus on this podcast just talking about the Model 3. I'll give you a little bit more of my experience with different things as we go through the options, but I wanted you guys to see kind of what's available, what my experience has been, and what my thinking was as I purchased things. And then more importantly, how it's worked out, right? So as I've had it, how have I liked it? So this is even before we jump in, right? There's existing inventory. So they are selling basically used or, Teslas that are just available. Maybe someone ordered them and didn't pick them up. And that's maybe a method for you to get your Tesla a little bit quicker. Let's go into the custom order just to start this one, though. So we're going to load this guy up. And like I said, first page, what you're going to see is that there's basically 3 options. You have your standard range plus, which is the most popular option. Keep in mind the prices that they're showing here. It's a little tricky, but basically what they're saying is this is what it's going to be after savings. And they'll give you a little bit more information down here at the bottom about what that means. But they're basically factoring in things like gas savings. I think they're factoring in the remaining government rebate for EVs. But this car is actually, though it says about $32,000 here, you'll actually be paying when you buy it about $40,000, configured just kind of the base version. There's not a ton of options, right? So let's just go through. So the standard range plus, basically it's still super fast, 5.3 seconds 0 to 60. I don't care what anybody says, it's going to feel like you're getting shot out of a gun. It has a 240 mile range. Tesla superchargers are all across the US. You can really get from anywhere to anywhere. I'm going to talk more about the US because that's where I'm from and that's the experience I have. I know they have a large supercharger network in Europe and they're starting to sell them there. And they're actually doing really well there as well. And I believe in Canada they have just as good of a supercharger network. They're upgrading their supercharger network while we're talking about that, so that you'll basically be able to charge, I think it's something like 1,000 miles in an hour. Of course, you don't need 1,000 miles. These things don't hold that much charge. But the point there is you could probably stop for about 15 minutes and get enough charge to get you to your next supercharger if you're doing maybe a cross-country or multi-state journey. So just a little word about, the range anxiety and what some people feel like they get. The graphic here actually kind of shows you, this is the bottom of the car, right? You have your battery, which is kind of in the middle of the wheels here, provides a really good heavy center of gravity. With this standard range plus, you get a single motor, and it's kind of off the axle a bit, but you kind of just see it there. Again, it's all electric. There's no gas or anything like that. If you do choose, you can go to the long range. So this is the model that I have. You see you get an extra, what is it? So it goes from 240 miles to 310. So you get about 70 miles extra, which is really good. You get almost a full second, right? So we went from 5.3 to 4.4. I've been in the standard range plus and felt the acceleration there. This is marginally better. I mean, it is 20% better, so it's noticeable. But like I said, you're not gonna be sitting in your standard range plus and having fun one day doing some launches, going, oh man, I wish I had that long range. It's really, unless you're in one and then the other, you're really not going to know. So don't worry about that. I would say if you need the range, that's a more kind of important reason to get the long range version than just the extra speed. But hey, some of us have that need, right? And then there's the performance, right? So the performance pushes it even faster, right? So you still get that 310 mile range. Top speed's a little more, though. I don't know who's going anywhere near 162 miles per hour. I guess if you take these things to the track, depending on the track, maybe you're getting up there, but certainly not on any public road. I'm pretty sure you would immediately lose your license getting pulled over going anywhere near that fast. But if you want to do some launches, 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds, that could be fun. And I have not actually been in a performance Model 3. I can't wait to the day when someone I know buys one or I get the opportunity, because I would like to know what the difference is between what I have and what that feels like. But those are your options. You see the price basically goes up $10,000, right? Each jump from standard plus to the long range to the performance. So, that's going to be your biggest consideration. Obviously, I think the most money comes into play here. There's one other option, though, that rivals these price jumps, and we'll get to that towards the end. So I'm going to build this as if I'm configuring the car that I have and choose long range here, right? Kind of that middle option. There's some color options here. Before I even talk about that, I forgot to mention that there is an estimated delivery window, which is basically 2 weeks right now. And that is awesome. The people waited years for the Model 3. I was lucky enough when I ordered mine that I waited about 2.5 weeks back in October. That's just when they figured out their manufacturing process and they really got it down to where they were able to kind of pump these things out. And looks like they're still doing that. This could change as we go along, so let's see what happens, right? Paint colors, right? So there are 5 paint colors. I think there used to be a few more, maybe one more. I know there was a silver, kind of a lighter silver color. I went with the Midnight Silver Metallic. What you'll notice is the only color that's free, and when I say free, I mean comes with the price that you see down here already, is black. The black looks really nice. I kind of struggled with this one. I had a black car before, though. I did like it, but I just saw too many pictures of this Midnight Silver Metallic that I just loved. And this color specifically has almost like not shape shifting, but color shifting, depending on if it's in direct sunlight, if it's in shadows. It can really go from a darker silver look to a lighter silver look, depending on what's hitting it. There's also the deep blue metallic, which is awesome looking. I've seen some of these in person. This would have probably been my second choice. You'll notice that the Midnight Silver Metallic and Deep Blue Metallic are both $1,000 extra so far. I believe, that Pearl White Multicoat is a little bit more. Basically I think that's because it's a multicoat. I've seen people have the Pearl White Multicoat with the white interior and maybe some tinted windows, and that looks amazing. But even without that stuff, just how it is here looks great. And then, of course, there is the red multicoat, which, again, it's a multicoat paint. This is a super popular color for obvious reasons. I'm just not a big red car guy. I like the silver cars, and so I chose the Midnight Silver Metallic. Wheels. So something they don't just come out and say here is that the 18-inch aero wheels that are included with the car, I'll give you a few pieces of information about them. You can actually remove these aero wheels, and underneath you get kind of a nice dark gray wheel, kind of more like a spoke wheel, similar to this, except dark gray, right? So the similar color to the little aero panel that you see on top of here. But what that's actually doing, what these aero wheels are doing, is actually giving you a little bit of range boost. I think it's a small percent. I'm not exactly sure what it is, maybe between 5 and 10%. range boost, but it is something. And some people who are looking to always get the best range that they can, they love that. And I don't blame them. But I went with the more aesthetic option here, which also costs a little bit more money. So for $1,500, you get 19-inch sport wheels. These don't have those aero covers, so you do lose that little bit of range boost that you get from those aero wheels. But I just love how it looked. The other thing to note is, unlike the Model S that has a little bit better suspension, I believe it has air suspension. This car suspension is more like a sports car, so it's a little more rigid, and it's made that way purposefully. And getting a larger wheel basically means you're going to feel the road a little bit more than you will with the 18-inch. So just keep that in mind if you're someone who's driven cars like this before or had 19-inch wheels before. You'll know what I'm talking about and whether you want to have that or not. So let's keep going. Like I said, there's not a ton of options. When I bought my car, there was an extra option on this page, which was enhanced autopilot and full self-driving. What Tesla's decided, oh, you know what? We're not even there yet. I forgot about the interior. Let's talk about interior. Two options, right? You can get the black interior, which looks amazing. This is what I chose. This is what's included in the price. If you want to pay a little bit extra and go with that gorgeous white interior, something else I struggle with. Ultimately, I went with the black because I have 3 small children, although I only take my son in it currently because there's just not room in a Model 3 for 3 kids. Maybe there's wizard parents out there who have figured out how to do it, but for now, the minivans for the whole troop and the Model 3s if I'm taking my son somewhere, right? So still didn't want to go with the white. 3-year-olds are not forgiving on car interior. So I went with the black. Both look amazing. If you get the pearl white multi-coat, I would really suggest the white. Just personal preference. I think it looks amazing. But like I said, I chose the black here. And you'll notice it goes through some options of what's included. I believe they're largely the same, but these options are also tied to the options that you chose on the first couple screens. Mainly the first screen, right? Standard Plus versus the all-wheel drive. So it's the kind of the premium interior versus that Standard Plus interior. If we go to the next screen, this is where we're talking about autopilot. So the technology, right? This is like, for me, this was the holy grail of car technology. I had an Acura before, not so great in the technology department. I bought 2 of them. I had at least 2 of them. I had a ZDX a few years, maybe 5-6 years ago. Then I had a TL. Loved the cars, hated the technology. Couldn't wait to get into something with good technology, and I kind of decided to go right to the top. I truly believe Teslas do have the best technology today. They changed things up a little bit. They used to have basically what was autopilot, enhanced autopilot, and then they had full self-driving. And so enhanced autopilot included those things like summon. It included the navigate on autopilot, where it would kind of on a highway suggest the changing of lanes. It would take exits for you. It still does all those things, but it only does them if you have what they call the full self-driving capability. They used to split it out. I think it was something like 3,000 for enhanced autopilot and 5,000 for full self-driving. Now they've basically kind of met in the middle and said, you know what, we'll make it 6,000, but you get everything. And the other thing you get with the 6,000 is when they eventually release full self-driving. And when I say full self-driving, I mean completely hands-off on back roads and highways. Currently, the car is really meant to do its smart self-driving stuff on highways only. It'll work on back roads, but it won't stop for stop signs. It won't stop for red lights. So, you really got to be careful if you're using it off highway. The full self-driving will handle stop signs and red lights and 90-degree turns and the whole 9 yards. Elon Musk, the owner of the company, says by the end of this year it'll be feature ready. What that basically means is you'll be able to actually have it do those things, assuming regulators sign off on it, and that's the big assumption, right? So he's probably not wrong that come the end of the year, he may say, hey, guess what? Full self-driving's feature release ready. We could push it out to everyone today, but U.S. regulators haven't completed their evaluation and haven't approved it. and so it's not coming. That's my guess as to what's going to happen. I think it'll come eventually. But what they're basically saying is if you want the features that are out today, like navigate on autopilot, the auto lane change, auto park, summon, enhanced summon is coming out soon. So summon is just kind of with your smartphone backing out of a parking space if people kind of park too close to you. Enhanced summon is it's raining out. Your car is, in the third row at the ShopRite, 100 yards away. You walk into the lobby of the ShopRite and hold a button down. Your car backs out and will actually drive to you in the front, and you hop on in with your groceries. That was in beta. There's lots of videos out there of people doing that, and it's going to work, and it's going to be out soon. So all that will be available, basically now, other than the enhanced summon. And all the full self-driving also comes with this $6,000 option. In my case, because I paid the $3,000 for the enhanced autopilot, Tesla released a few week period where they said, you know what, for you people who bought an enhanced autopilot for $3,000, but you didn't buy the $5,000 full self-driving, we're going to give you an opportunity to pay $2,000 to kind of tack on that full self-driving and future enhanced features. And I kind of bid on that, and my car is now considered a full self-driving. So this is up to you. If it were me and I was buying a Tesla, I don't think I would purchase the car without factoring in that I'm going to buy the technology package, because that is what it is, right? And I mean, obviously I'm biased, right? I'm the technology guy here, right? And I'm just, that's what I bought a Tesla for, was, priority one was the technology. So with all that being said, let me go back. Let me actually select it. All right. So this is kind of, oh no, I clicked it twice. So what I'm building now is like the today version of the car that I built back in October, with the options as close as you can get them to then. My purchase price back then was $62,000, but I had the $7,500 tax credit. So I think today that is halved, but it looks like Tesla basically took the other half away for you up till today. So they're still kind of eating that tax credit, the other half of the tax credit. So again, you don't have to go and buy a $58,000 Tesla. If we go back and we choose the standard range plus, even with a few options, let's say you wanted some wheels and tires, black, and you want an autopilot, you're still at 48,000, but you can cut 10,000 off of it if you're willing to kind of part with some of the premium interior, the range, and the little bit of a speed decrease there. The other thing I want to mention about Teslas, and this kind of rivaled my decision, but they are the Model 3 specifically is the safest car by safety rating on the road. The front of the car is just one big crumple zone because there's no engine. So this thing is made to basically take impact and mitigate it away from you. And there's been lots of examples of that. People walking out of these things, even in some pretty bad accidents. With the family and with my son in the car often, those are the things I'm thinking about. And just a quick story, the other day I was taking my son to a swim lesson, and my son was asking me something. He's a 3-year-old, he's super curious, and he was asking me about something that was outside kind of to the left. I was on a kind of not a highway, but one of those like faster town roads, and I looked for a couple seconds off to my left, and in those couple seconds the car in front of me, going about 50 miles an hour, slammed on its brakes because the car in front of him happened to be a police officer who I'm guessing got a call or something and put his lights on and did a U-turn right in the middle of the road. And what happened was, as I was not looking, right, and again, this is completely my fault, my car slammed on its brakes. I wasn't in autopilot or navigate on autopilot or anything. My car slammed on its brakes, gave me a really loud and alarming alarm that said something like emergency braking in progress. It probably saved me possibly from injury. It definitely saved my car from being really messed up. And it basically stopped within a few inches of the car in front of me without me even looking at it. So the thing has already, as far as I'm concerned, it's paid for itself, paid for my stupidity, at least in that case. But yeah, the technology just increases the safety gauge on these things, and that's just another great reason to buy. What else can I say? You can also set up, how do you charge it at home? A lot of people want to know that. You can buy one of those. They're pretty cheap. It's called a NEMA 1450 outlet. It's those big outlets that you see in washers, used for like washers and dryers. If you are not handy enough to wire that up yourself and run a line from your panel box, which I was not either, and most people weren't, and I wouldn't recommend you do things with high power unless you kind of know what you're doing. You can have an electrician come out and run that that line, because it's a pretty high amperage line, and your car will charge off of that for, I think it's something like 30 to 35 miles every hour. So it's one of those things where you come home, plug it in before you go to bed. The other option, and actually this is what I did, and I was lucky enough to have a father-in-law who is a 30-year kind of veteran electrician. He ran the line for me, and I just kind of read the manual on how to actually hook this thing up. But if you look at charging and you look at the Tesla Power wall connectors, these cost $500. These will charge slightly faster than those NEMA 1450s. So again, you still have to run a line to them. You need either a 60 amp or a 40 amp if you're going with the Model 3 mid or standard range. So I have a 60 amp circuit running to mine, and I'm trying to see. I thought it charges something like 38 miles every hour. I don't know if it's going to actually say that here. I don't think it does, but you get a little bit more, right? So if you are someone who has maybe a long commute and you're doing stuff after work a lot, so you want to be able to also drive your car, maybe you have an hour commute to work and home, and then maybe you often go to family that's a half hour away, and you just want to always make sure you have enough. This might be good to be able to kind of like do a quick plug-in when you get home for a little bit and get that extra juice in there. So you have options, right? You could just buy that standard NEMA 1450. I think they're like $15 or $20. The cord, depending on how long, is maybe $100 or $150 because it's pretty thick. And then the electrician, you have to factor in what they're going to charge you. They may charge you, anywhere from a few hundred to maybe close to $1,000 to put everything together. So again, consider that. You can plug it into just a regular wall outlet, but it's going to charge something like 4 or 5 miles every hour. And so that's really not good enough if you have any kind of a commute, even overnight. Some people do that. Some people live in an apartment. And what they do is they basically hit up a supercharger every day, and either on the way to work or the way home or something like that. And they just supercharge their car away from home. That's another option. Just keep in mind, until the superchargers are fully upgraded, you may be looking at a 20-minute to 40-minute stop on a daily basis if you're going to solely use superchargers to charge. So just some more information about the Tesla there. This was really meant to just kind of be a brief overview of what it is. What I'm going to do is have more podcasts where I'm actually going to go in my Tesla. I'll have my camera, and we'll actually look at some of the stuff, some of the features. I'll show you kind of around the screen and things like that. But I just wanted to kind of show you what's available as far as the Model 3 goes today. So thanks for joining me. Hope you guys enjoyed this first episode of the Technology Guy, talking about Teslas. We're going to talk more about Teslas, but we are going to get into a lot of other things. Like I said, smart home, mobile, home audio, home video, speakers, subwoofers, smartwatches, all that stuff. All right, well, that wraps up today's episode. Like always, if you enjoyed that episode, please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe below, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks.